Hope you're well. Alan's coming to join me. Hello.
Yes, just pressing go. Go. It should be here.
Hopefully you're up.
Yes, oh, this shouldn't be making any noise. It's making noise.
We hope you're well this evening. I am enjoying a very delicious gin and tonic.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about your jumper. I was getting ready to go, and I'm matching with flamingos as well.
We can start with that if you like. I am wearing a very lovely embroidered flamingo jumper from Next. And Alan's decided that because I'm wearing that, he is going to match me with his very, very garish black and pink.
I think this is one of my favourites, actually. I do quite like
For those
this
on
one.
podcast, Alan is wearing a garish white shirt.
It's black with green foliage, white mountains, and normal coloured pink flamingos. And that probably makes it sound worse than it actually is.
Back to my gin. I am enjoying a very delicious Ngava gin, which is a Canadian gin. And first world problems, this is the last serve of the bottle. What am I going to do? So my dear friend Cynthia came over from Canada and gifted me with a bottle of it. It's lasted quite a long time because I really, really, really enjoyed it, and I wanted to make sure it was one of those special gins, and I've just had my last serve. So Cynthia, if you're watching, you need to come back and you need to bring me gin, please.
Please, Cynthia, please.
Please, Cynthia, bring gin. So, I hope everyone's okay. If we've got any watchers watching live, hello.
I think we've got a couple of watchers. I'm just checking a couple of things on the tech side of stuff.
So if you're new to Ask an Expert and The Outside Bride, my name's Emily and this is my delightful husband, Alan.
Hello.
We are the founders of The Outside Bride blog, which is the ultimate guide to getting married in the great outdoors, helping you plan the best day ever, be it by helping you with your location, to your layouts of your location, your venue, to what size generator do you need, what do I do about a bar, can you recommend how I do this, everything it could possibly be attached to an outdoor wedding, how to have your ceremony, how to find the perfect celebrant, how to find the perfect match if it's indoor or outdoor, and anything you want to talk about. Pop your questions down below in the comments. Which way is it on YouTube? Alan, I always lose track, left or right? Down below.
No, that way.
that way.
To the left.
That way. Pop your questions down and we will see if we can answer any of your burning questions this evening.
Yes.
So, and how have you been this week?
No, I've been really, really good.
I am slowly dying. I do apologise. I've got a frog in my throat.
No, didn't you say this last week? You'd had like a 6-month illness that I knew
So
nothing
ill.
about or something like that. No, what day is it today?
Today is Wednesday.
It feels like
8 PM. Ask an Expert.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Same time every week for the last year.
Monday feels like a long time away. I don't know what we've been doing. So we're working. I'm gonna announce. You know what I'm going to announce, but I'm not going to give all the details.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Well, it's too late now. I have to announce. You did this to me once before. I remember you announcing something what I wasn't ready for us to announce. We're pitching a TV show. That's it. I'm not saying anything else. Stum, we're pitching a TV show. If you work in the TV industry, TV production companies, and you think you'd like to help us,
That's quite a bold move he's just done then.
Yeah.
Quite a
I
bold
haven't
move.
given any details.
No, but that's quite a bold statement to say what we're doing right now.
No, all I've said is we're pitching a TV show. I haven't said we've got a TV show coming or anything like that. Saying we're pitching. Well, it depends how positive you're being. I'm going to go positive.
So positive.
We've got a TV show coming. It could be 5 or 10 years. It could be 20 years, but we've got a TV show coming.
We'll be self-financing it at some point.
Yeah, well, you can self-publish a book, so why can't you self-publish? You can. Isn't that what we're doing on YouTube? Isn't this our TV show?
Yes.
I like to think this is a TV show or a podcast for those who are listening.
So anyway, this week on the blog has been a lovely week so far, and we're only on Wednesday.
No, sorry. Hello, watchers. Please give us a thumbs up. Click on the thumbs up, and please do subscribe to our channel. Just
the admin bit at the beginning of this video.
So please click on the thumb if you're watching right now. Just give us a little thumbs up. Let us know you're watching, and please do subscribe to our channel. We would love that. Thank you very much.
Right, so back onto this week in the blog, and it's only Wednesday, and it's been a fab week already. Yesterday we published a gorgeous real wedding all the way from Fort Lauderdale, so all the way in the US of A, and it was Brandy and Gregor's beachside wedding, and it was beautiful, wasn't it? It was a tropical luxe meets boho style, and it was full of bold tropical leaves and white orchids, and Brandy, the bride, had such a relaxed, effortless style about it. It was amazing. I don't think how anyone could. She did all her own hair and makeup and just put on this lovely Grace Loves Lace slinky number, and it was really, really pretty. So if you haven't seen that wedding yet, do feel free to click onto the blog, and it's on one of our featured posts. And then today we launched another blog, which was a style shoot all back in the UK in Hertfordshire, and it was this. You right there, Alan?
I'm chatting to our watchers.
Oh, hello, watchers.
Keep talking.
We have a style shoot today, which I can only describe. It was winter woodland, but in my opinion, the way it was styled was really, really magical, to the point where it was almost Midsummer Night's Dream-esque about it. There were animal masks, there were antlers coming out of the bride's headpiece. There was moss all over the tables, and really ethereal, kind of really magical feel to that shoot. And the models in it, the female model in it had stunning like auburn hair, didn't she? She was
very,
and it really
very attractive. That's such a bloke. It's such a bloke. Yeah, she was very attractive.
It was a really lovely contrast to the greens and stuff. So feel free to check that out. Tomorrow we are launching another blog, which is another real wedding, but it's a video, isn't it? We have decided that video is key. We love videographers, and we feel that they don't always get the best platform on blogs.
Well, I'd say, yeah, it's not that they don't get the best platform, but they could we're doing a YouTube live right now that we put on a podcast. Clearly, we are well in tune and in touch with video and audio and everything else, not just pictures. So we are truly embracing video for the blog. We've seen some fab ones. There's another one which we're just discussing, aren't we, with a videographer, to hopefully try and share that out.
Yeah.
And the one coming out tomorrow, they're really, really good. And
we just feel that videographers have their medium is amazing, and they are just as detailed and creative as photographers are. Yet they always put those 3 to 4 minute montages together that are stunning, and you can see the whole snapshot of the day. Yet sometimes on blogs they become they become the piece at the bottom of the blog.
Yeah.
So we really want to give videographers the opportunity to be right in the forefront and displaying their stunning showcasing their work at the front and being on our platform.
I agree, and we've said this a lot in the past, haven't we? If you're trying to pick a photographer for your wedding, if you can get a photographer who will also drop you a 5 to 10 minute montage, you're winning. If you have a videographer as well, it's the montage.
Everyone has a montage.
Everyone loves it's a montage. That's the bit
Sorry,
you're gonna watch. It's a montage. Where's that from?
That's from the Muppets.
No, it's not. Isn't it from Team America World Police, and it's a Mickey Take on Rocky or something? Anyway, it's the montage that people are going to watch time and time again. Yeah, you're going to sit down and watch the 3-hour extravaganza a couple of times, but it's the montage that you're going to share about, and that's the bit we love. That's the bit that kind of, really draws you in, allows you to see what's going on.
So anyway, stay tuned tomorrow for Kelsey and Andy's stunning Welsh wedding with the video on there.
Hi, Amy.
Hi, Amy. How are you?
Yeah, good to have you along live.
It's amazing to have you along live.
Yes.
So today, have we got any? Amy, if you have any questions today, feel free to drop them in the comments below. We will try and answer it today. We haven't been inundated with questions this week, so you may have a chance of having it answered.
Yeah, there was 2 questions in the group. We'll cover quickly. One was about glass and paying for glasses and charging people damage. Not damage, damage deposits. You know what? It's kind of, there's no wrong thing. I think people, we get this as this isn't what we were actually discussing.
No, but it's one we can quickly break. So the question was, is it cheeky to charge your guests a damage deposit for their glass hire for your wedding? Now, I personally think yes. I think it's a little bit cheeky. Ultimately, they're coming to be guests at your wedding. You wouldn't go to a bar and a restaurant and think, so you can have your glass of Pinot, but you need to spend 50p on the glass before you give it back. So you don't do that, and you think, how many breakages are you likely to have in your average event? Really, if you're talking for 100 guests, you're not all going to be that raucous and it's all going to be smashing across the glass.
Unless it's like a Greek wedding. Do they? That's
plates. The likelihood of a lot of breakages is very minimal, and when you think about the glass hire, you're looking at maybe 50p, maybe £1 a glass. So really, in the grand scheme of things, you might be losing a tenner to breakages. Do you want to do that, which is an easy fix to then pay that damage deposit or damage waiver afterwards, or do you want to then have the the problem of going, not problem, but the challenge of going to every one of your guests and going, can I have a damage deposit, please? It's quite clunky, and there's a lot of toing and froing between that, and then you're going to risk upsetting some of your guests, and really, in the grand scheme of things, is it worth it for the sake of a couple of quid? Ways you can get around that is, if you're not going with glass, if you're not going with glass, going with more recyclable products where they're not going to have breakages, they're going with your recyclable plastics, or you're going with your other materials. Obviously, we've put loads on eco-friendly choices in the last few weeks as well. We're looking at more sustainable products, ones that aren't going to be in the landfill causing you issues afterwards, or going with, if you're having to use plastic and you can't get around that, putting people's names on their glasses so they're a bit more accountable. You've got Alan's got his own, and Alan's always leaving his drink left, right and centre. You can get that. Alan, there's your drink, off you go. So
Mine don't last 5 seconds.
Or making sure you create, like kiln, we said this before, it's like kilner jars and jam jar type affair, when you give them as a favour to that person, and they have that particular vessel for the entire day. They're not going to lose that, because they're going to want to be able to refill it later on, so therefore they have a bit more responsibility for that. If you're going to a free bar, people would necessarily, I've got this glass, I'm going to put that there, it's okay, but I can go and get another one over there.
I was also wondering, and I can remember, but there's 2 reasons why you might want to charge. You might want to charge because you don't want breakages. You don't want to have to pay for breakages. You want to cover that cost. And you might want to charge to kind of discourage people from misuse. And all right, semantics at the end of the day, and both very similar. But, as you say, there's ways around it, lots of different ways, whether you do the kilner jar wedding favour, I've gone blank.
But I really would weigh up the cost of what it is to hire your glassware in the first place. It might be a minimal spend anyway. If you're going to supermarkets to hire your glass separate to any bar company, if you're doing your own bar, lots of places like Sainsbury's. Do Sainsbury's still do it? Waitrose still do their glass hire, as do used to. Tesco's doesn't do it anymore, I don't think. But they do their free glass hire. So just check the T's and C's to see how much it is per glass, per breakage, and work out really what's your worst case scenario of breakages. Is it going to be 5 or is it going to be 50 quid? And weigh it up though, just to decide whether you want to have a damage waiver on your guests for that.
Stand by to be excited.
I'm excited.
We've had a question.
Oh my goodness, YouTube, you've delivered. It's been 3 weeks in the making. We finally got there.
Our first live question.
Thanks, Amy.
We're doing questions from the group, and obviously valid questions, but this is exciting. This is our live podcasters, and this will mean nothing to you, but YouTubers. So Amy says, yeah, doing good, thank you. I think the main question I can't decide on is when to send out the save the dates. On one hand, I am happy to send them out wintertime next year for a July 2020 wedding.
Okay.
But lots of people are asking, as they are already planning their holidays, etc. Send them out.
Absolutely, send them out.
Just
now,
get them sent out.
If you're,
Second you know, send them out.
So it's July 2020.
Yes.
If you're thinking about getting a save the date out in the winter before your wedding, which is 6-7 months beforehand, you might as well just send your invitation out at that point. There's no point in doing a save the date if it's going to be, by the time you've sent them out and asked for your RSVPs, you might as well send that. The whole point of having a save the date is to do exactly that, so people can have enough notice to go, something's going to be anticipated later on. If you're waiting until December, January time of the year of your wedding to send a save the date, you might as well just send the invitation. It's really, really, really worth it. Save a stamp otherwise, and just do one or the other. If people are inquiring now, there's nothing to hurt. You may not have all the fine details now, but people only need to know, I need to save the 20th of July, or I need to send the 13th of July. I would also make sure, timings, and if possible, if you're having a child-free wedding or a non-child-free wedding, put that detail as well, so people can also start to think in their heads, I'm going to have to get childcare for that, because people always prefer a little bit of notice so they can just start to get their heads around things. If it's not going to be a standard wedding, if it's going to be a destination wedding, or it's going to be further afield from your hometown, again, it just helps people to start to work out. We might have to organise accommodation, we might have to think about who's going to be where, who's going to be looking after people, that stuff. So get them out now. There's no issue at all now. You don't have to give the exact details of the exact location and the exact timings of the day. Just a rough idea of, the actual date will be beneficial. Don't you think, Alan?
I think that would be absolutely spot on. one of the things we said we were going to talk
Yeah.
about tonight, we thought the other question that had been in the group this week that I remembered was the lady whose name escapes me now. She wanted why can't I talk? She wanted a personal referral for a fairground company.
Right, so it was fairground vintage stores.
Yeah, but she wanted someone to refer to, who knew them. Not they didn't just know of them, but they knew them and they'd used them. And that's really tricky. That I hadn't seen any, if many, answers to that. I haven't really got a lot of thoughts. I don't really know what to say.
No,
I just think
it's a very specific item.
Yes.
What I would suggest is obviously Google is your best friend at the best of times. If you're going blind into finding someone that you've never heard of, do your due diligence with them. So,
and there will be ones who advertise that they cater and deal for weddings more than I'm trying to think of, Bob the fairgrounder who rocks up in the park on a bank holiday. They may not specialise in weddings, whereas Charles is. I'm picking these names.
I mean, it all depends, because I think I read the post, and it was vintage stalls and it was vintage garden games and lawn games and stuff like that. So there are people. Recommendations are your friend as well. You really want to get a feel for people, and and their knowledge and experience will help a long way. As an aside to that, if you are going blind and you're trying to find a supplier, Facebook reviews are great, and they will really help to see. You can start to get a feel for that supplier from all of the amazing press and all the bad press, and you can see what they're like. But I would say with Facebook reviews, if you see any negative reviews on Facebook, this is not just us from a supplier's point of view, because we've seen them as well.
It's taken with a pinch of salt.
Because ultimately there are only two types of people who are going to ever leave a review on a company's site. One, they've had an amazing experience, the best time of their lives. They've had exceptional standards all across the board, and they want to shout and rave about you. You're going to get 5 stars.
Do you want me to explain the science behind this?
No.
I happen to know the science. I used to do it as a part of the job.
The people who leave the 1 stars, they have been severely wronged. They've had a bee in their bonnet from the start. They really need to shout about it to the rooftops, and they're going to be the ones who leave. The 2, 3 and 4 star people tend to not leave reviews as much. So you're going to have polar extremes in those reviews. So really look at that review. If you've seen a negative review and there's only 1, don't take that as they've had a bad review, they must be bad. Look at how that company reacts to that post. Looks at how they reply to that person. If they are articulate and they are addressing point by point and saying, well, we did this and we did, then look for the wood between
Funny you say
the
that.
trees,
I
isn't
was
it?
looking at a company earlier that I genuinely can't remember. It was wedding based, and they had a load of comments on something, and they weren't bad, but there were still comments. And I scrolled down, they hadn't replied to a single comment, and I thought, that's interesting. So there's no real point to that story.
No, but you do get a feel, and that says a lot more to me about a company and their customer service. If they are like snapping it and going, yes, I've seen this, I want to respond to this, I want to give you my side of it and give you a reasonable answer and breakdown of what they think have happened, and they give their side of the events, then I really, really think they're more credible than someone who, like I said, either argues back at somebody or doesn't reply to them, or hasn't left any comments or any kind of conversation there that might be a bit of a red flag for how they are in terms of email conversations and future correspondence if you're going to book them. So that to me would be a red flag. But ultimately, recommendations are great. Speak to friends and family. If you're going to find someone off Google, that's fantastic. I would recommend, if you can see them in the flesh, if they're at a wedding fair or they have a showcase, or you can ask to see them on the day of the setup somewhere, that will be really good for you to just get an understanding of how they work and what they look like in reality, and if it's the right fit for your wedding. Right.
Cool.
The other thing today we were going to talk about...
Should we spend 5 minutes on it?
We're
going to talk about the get out. So the takedown, the day after, the morning after, the day after, the taking it all back home again, whatever you want to call it. We felt it's part of the planning sessions, but we thought we'd just do a quick summary of it now.
We were
working
on it's in module 6 of the planning sessions, and if you haven't yet heard of the planning sessions, basically it's a step-by-step guide to make sure...
I'll put a link in the video.
A step-by-step guide to make sure that you have all your bases covered when it comes to working on your outdoor wedding. And in module 6 we talk about the get in, and we talk about the on-day team, and we talk about what you need and your survival kit and all the things that you're going to need on the day to make sure if anything was to go wrong, that's on your person on the day. But then the last part of that module is the get out, as Alan said, and we were talking about it, and actually we felt that it's something that needs to be expanded a little bit more, because you guys are our family as well, and we love to talk to you about everything we do. You're our community. Family. And actually, we spend so much time in this group and on these conversations about making sure you get the right suppliers, and how should you lay out your field, and how should you do this. People forget about the takedown, and that's just as important, especially if you're going to
I think it's fair to say at our wedding we forgot about the takedown. We didn't even think about it.
It was a complete eye-opener to us.
All of a sudden, the ushers had loaded up the hire van with glass, because we hadn't factored in we needed to get rid of all the glass, and were gone for an hour and a half as they went to find a recycling place to get rid of literally a van. Bear in mind, we turned up with 1,000 bottles of beer at our wedding.
Alan did a spreadsheet. He worked out on his spreadsheet, his very fancy spreadsheet, that it was bomb-proof. That literally
we needed
this amount of guests, and great Auntie Mabel here, and this person this, and we're starting at 12:30, and we were going through to midnight.
Everyone was
drinking
have
this many drinks per hour, and it was all very rigid. Alan calculated that we needed 1,000 bottles of beer.
Yeah, but
and how many bottles of beer did we take home, Alan?
We either drunk 400 and took 600 home, or it was the other way round. But
we took 600 bottles of beer home.
No, I think it was 400 actually, but it doesn't really matter.
There was a lot of beer that came home.
There was a lot of beer, but that doesn't involve
great
spirits and wine and champagne and everything else.
Anyhow, the point of this story is there is a lot of waste, and people don't consider how much waste a wedding will create, regardless if you're being eco-friendly and unwrapping everything at home and not putting things in plastic and everything else. You create so much stuff.
Well, no, in short, everything that you load into the van or cars to get to the wedding, you have to take down and take home again, regardless of the waste you then created during the wedding.
So things to consider, and again, we cover this in the planning sessions in a lot of depth, but just some thoughts in your head so you can start to think, especially if you're getting married this year and your head has been completely in wedding planning. Just start to think of these little things. So if you're going to somewhere which is a blank canvas venue where you have nothing, you're at a field or a woodland, and there's no building there, and you are literally in the middle of nowhere, think about the fact, and it's the same for the get-ins, if you need anything, you've forgotten anything, you could be an hour's drive away from your nearest town or whatever, or nearest shops to go and get supplies and stuff. So in your arsenal for your takedown, you're going to need to know that you've got a cleaning box, and in that cleaning box you've got extra bin liners, you've got cleaning sprays and all that kind of stuff, and cloths and all that, because you may have to give back everything that you've hired in a certain condition. That's not true of everything. So things like glassware, if you're hiring in glasses, crockery, if you're hiring in crockery, you may well be able to give that back dirty. Fantastic, great. But if you have to give them back in any certain condition, which is clean out and needs to be spotless, then you're going to have a cleaning box. So think about that beforehand. With that in mind, definitely check the terms and conditions of all of your suppliers. We see time and time again, especially with marquee weddings, that the marquee has to be handed back with chairs stacked, tables folded down. The carpets, if you're having carpets in, may need to be hoovered. They may have to be spotless. They may happily let you just leave everything and they'll tidy things down. So work out what you need to have taken down, because the worst thing you want to do, especially with a marquee or a teepee or anything like that, which is quite a large spend in your wedding budget, that's usually the largest spend you will have aside from venue and everything else, you do not want your damage waiver, damage deposit, to be taken away because you've left a few sprigs of hay bales in your marquee that have ruined the carpet, not ruined the carpet, no. That we're going to take that from you now because we need to hoover. So check your terms and conditions of exactly what condition that marquee or other kind of structure needs to be left in, and make sure that you have the right tools for the job to get that clean. I would also say making sure that, separate out your rubbish. If you know that you're going to be having to take rubbish, like Alan said with our wedding, we had a lot of stuff that we had to get to a recycling centre. Where's your nearest recycling centre? Can you hire in a skip potentially? Thank you.
No, keep talking.
Can you hire in a skip for the event that someone can come and literally pick up and take away, so you don't have to worry about getting things into cars? Alan's being a bit posh with taking photos of our photos.
Just keep talking.
Thinking about whether you need to Hi.
Oh, terrible. Just keep going.
Your suppliers and the take down side of things, working out, just like we talk about the setup days, working out your timeline of who's coming in where, working out whether you can reverse that. So in an ideal world, again we talk about this in detail in the course, your temporary structure should be the very last thing that you get taken down, if possible.
Yes.
And if you can get it taken down on the Monday, that's all well and good, because we've had weddings, we've been on wedding setups with our marquee business in the past, where we've turned up, the marquee's been taken down, the bar company's still in there, the furniture company's still in there, the dance floor's still in there, and they're not coming until we're taking down on a Sunday, and the rest of the supplies won't coming down on the Monday, which means that's a lot of stuff left on the grass here, which could rain and ruin their stock as well. So if you can reverse it so that everything small goes first and that the temporary structure is the last thing to go, that would be all well and good.
Yes.
Anything else you can think
of?
of?
No, let's leave that there, I think.
Yeah. Everything else is in the course, so feel free to jump on.
Yes, jumping planning sessions. Modules 1, 2 and 3 are available as standalone sections or standalone modules in our shop, theoutsidebride.co.uk/shop. Yeah, or just go to
4, 5 and 6 will be coming along soon.
4, 5 and 6 very, very soon. They're just all being put together. I think that's it for tonight. So unless anyone's got a question, I have a quick question. We've had 3 watchers for the past couple of moments. Amy's been chatting to us, and I just wondered if either of the other 2 were my mum or dad or anyone I know. So if you are, feel free to say hi, because you're probably being quiet because you don't want to admit it's you watching, but feel free to say hello or text me in a moment.
They do love him.
They do. Well, we have told this story before, but we were doing a test stream once, and I'd made it public without thinking, rather than unlisted, and all of a sudden one was watching. I said, I bet that's my mum, Emily, and I finished it, and 5 minutes later my mum rang me up and went, could you hear me? I was talking back at you onto YouTube. Bless you, mum, if you're watching. That still makes me smile, that story. Yes, I was going to tell a story.
Takeaways from today is, check your glass hire, what your costs are for breakages. It may be less than you first think. Think about your get out plan for your wedding, and make sure that you check out tomorrow's real wedding video, because it's going to be awesome. And if you haven't checked out this week's blog already, go onto the website www.theoutsidebride.co.uk, and all of our up-to-date blogs are on there on the journal.
They are. So some housekeeping very quickly. So please do subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please do give our videos a thumbs up when you watch them, if you like them, obviously. Yeah, we've got a please do give us thumbs up, because it helps them rank higher and all those other things. What else was I going to say about YouTube? Yep, you'll see all the Asking Experts on here. You've seen some of our style shoot vlogs on the wedding inspiration.
More of those to come.
There's loads coming for them. We just took a break for December and January, and there's a full smorgasbord of excitement coming. Any wedding videographers montages are also going to be hosted on our YouTube channel, so it'll be one of the first places to see them. And we're also about to start a little mini series of going to visit some outdoor venues. Yes, we've got a couple of visits in the pipeline, and we're gonna these are going to be true vlogs with bits to camera and B-roll and oh, look at him using his phrases, B-roll and all that other stuff. So they're going to be coming, just kind of sharing some of the venues we get to visit throughout the summer. And the other thing is, actually we're still looking for brides and grooms who are getting married April or May this year in an outdoor wedding, ideally as close to Hampshire as possible for the first 1 or 2, just while we're testing it as a process. So if you are having a wedding this April or May 2019 around Hampshire, that includes like Dorset, Wiltshire, Berkshire, Surrey, West Sussex, etc. Little Oxfordshire. Little, southern side of Oxfordshire. Please do get in touch. We'd love to hear about your wedding and see if it fits with what we're looking for, because we want to do some kind of, what are they, vlogs? I don't know what the terminology is. We just love to meet you. Yeah, we want to meet you. We want to come and see your setup and everything else, and then create some video from it. Right, so that's it, podcasters. I hope you enjoyed that. If you fancy you want this on a podcast, it will be on iTunes and SoundCloud by tomorrow morning. That's it, isn't it? That's it. Thank you very much. See you later. Bye. This is the awkward part. Awkward part. Podcasters, for those who don't know, I now have to get up and to walk around. We changed our setup.
which means Alan can't just click a button.
It's very slick, apart from this bit.
Hi.